Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to talk about Season 2 of War Within and the PvP, Beginner's Guide to PvP for Season 2, and how you can get your Conquest weapons and how gearing works from a PvP standpoint. So let's start with the very basics. So let's talk about the change in PvP for Season 2. PvP Season 2, the only real change is that we've had a new battleground added in. So we have had a new battleground added into the rotation. This one is in celebration, obviously, of the new area. So this is Cage of Carnage. It's not a battleground, but it is more so a arena. So it doesn't really make any massive difference, but it is something to take note of. All the vendors for gear are located here in the foregrounds on the far left. So you can find all the vendors here for crafting, honor, conquest, and war mode. There are 3 different types of currencies and thus 3 different types of vendors that you can obtain in PvP. There is honor, conquest, and war mode. So conquest is earned from rated PvP. Conquest will get you the highest tier of gear in terms of PvP. These items will rank out at 6, 7, 8 in PvP. So you can obviously upgrade them. They are champion class, but you have them maxing out at the max item level possible for PvP at 6, 7, 8. You earn them from rated PvP, whether it's battlegrounds, arena, solo, etc. Honor is the second highest tier, well, the third highest tier technically, of currency. Honor is earned from unrated PvP. It will give you Explorer rank here, but this will cap out at 665 in terms of PvP. It's very important to understand that you want PvP gear if you are going to play PvP. There's no point playing PvP without PvP gear. It is just not something you should be doing. Your item level and everything just surges so much with PvP gear. For example, I am someone who's about to crack 650, which is great, obviously from PvE content, but by just buying a bunch of Explorer gear, I can effectively get to 665 for PvP very quickly. The last currency is War Mode. War Mode requires you to complete bloody tokens. This is earned from a specific War Mode quests that you will find around certain areas. So you have to be in war mode firstly to see these quests, and then when you are in war mode you can partake in these quests and they will basically give you these bloody tokens. So they are fairly good, obviously, from that perspective. Like, you are able to earn yourself some really good gear, the second highest tier possible of gear you can see here. So it's very good, albeit obviously at the cost of now potentially being engaged with other players in PvP, which isn't everyone's cup of tea. So it just depends on yourself, etc. A full set of PvP gear, whether it is Conquest, War Mode, or Honor, generally will range quite explicitly to around 8,000 Honor or 8,000 Conquest. So it's not super easy to obtain them. You do have to grind out a little bit, but it is well worth it if you are going to invest in PvP. Of course, I would say start with Honor gear, then work your way up, maybe snagging some War Mode pieces. The difference between Honor and Conquest may not seem like much, but 10 item level is quite substantial. On top of obviously farming the currencies, Conquest itself actually has a physical cap to what you can earn in a week. So in week 1 you can only earn 1,600, for example. In week 2 you can only have earned 2,200. In week 3 2,800. In week 4 3,400. It's now week 5, so you can earn up to a max of 4,000, etc., all the way up to week 11 where it'll be removed. So you are gated. You're not able to just spam and infinitely get conquest points. Unfortunately, you are gated weekly. that is not the only uses for Honor and Conquest and War Mode currencies. There are a couple ways to upgrade your gear, create gear, and there are some other uses. So first, let's talk about crafted PvP gear. So if you come to Hothon, who's by all the PvP vendors, who are located obviously here in the foreground section, the PvP area. If you speak to Hothon, he will sell these prized combatants heraldries. These are based on different currencies. You can see here honor, and then conquest, and these allow you to actually craft items. When you craft an item, it's the same as any other embellishment, and it will actually make that item a PvP item and give it a new PvP designation, and thus give it a item level associated with PvP. So it's really useful, and it's really solid, and it's incredibly helpful overall. And obviously with that, you can also buy recipes to create PvP gear, which is also exceptionally useful. So this is helpful if you're a crafter who's also interested in PvP. You will have to buy a heraldry. You will also need basically to have ideally a PvP piece plan, and then you can integrate it with your heraldry and you'll be good to go. So it's very useful, obviously incredibly helpful for players who are looking to craft into PvP. The other useful item from here is Vicious Bloodstones. This can also be obtained from very special chests that you get from winning your PvP each day, which we'll talk about just now. But these are useful for two things. One, for creating amulets that have very specific PvP effects, and two, for creating gems that you can insert in your gear that will have very specific PvP effects. On top of that as well, you will need them to buy a prize jeweler setting, which you will need to add sockets to PvP gear. This is crucial because, as I mentioned, the gems that you create have PvP based effects. For example, shortening disruption time, being able to prevent interrupts. There's certain really strong abilities that those gems have, obviously in terms of PvP. So it's very crucial if you're looking to be competitive in PvP that you have those. So now, how do we obtain Conquest, Honor, etc.? Well, it's very easy. So if you are doing basically unrated PvP, then every time that you win one game mode, you will get Honor and some Conquest. So you always get Honor, you always get some Conquest. You will also get the strong boxes, which will also give you Conquest and Honor. For unrated PvP, you will be able to do basically the Honor. So you will get Honor every time you finish a match, whether you win or lose. For rated PvP, you will obtain again more Honor but more Conquest. And again, your strong boxes can contain lots of PvP related items, which are going to be very important for you. So the difference is basically the rate of gain. Winning matches will give you a daily bonus once per mode in both game modes. However, obviously afterwards, winning matches will give you substantially more Conquest than losing matches would. That is obviously super duper important. So yeah, on top of your daily win bonuses and winning matches, you also have 3 world quests that you'll get each week. Preserving the skirmishes will give you bonuses. You will then have your teamwork, which will be for battlegrounds, which will also give you bonuses. And then you will also obviously have Sparks of War, which is related to War Mode, which will give you further bonuses and currencies. It is super important that if you are looking to do PvP, that you try to pick up these quests. There's also the potential of a weekly quest that will correlate here to the usual weekly quest, and this will give you 1 piece of high rated PvP gear as well. So now we understand all of those basics. There is one last thing in terms of gearing that is super important, and that is your Conquest weapon. So in PvP, if you obtain 2,500 Conquest within a season, you will get a prized Weapons of Conquest. This quest is seasonal. It will give you prized Gladiators weapon tokens. These prized Gladiators weapons tokens can be exchanged for Conquest level weapons. Once you have obtained 2,500 Conquest, you can speak to Lalandi, who will have a quest, and when you complete her quest, you will then get the weapons. Last but not least, if you are a PvE player and you are trying to get into PvP, you can accelerate things a little bit by buying the Conqueror's Prized Lacquer or the Conqueror's Prized Varnish. Basically, this will essentially give you PvP rated gear levels for your PvE gear. So as you can see here, basically it will increase the minimum item level of Liberation of Undermined Set, Gloves and Armor Shoulders to 678. This is very important because it allows you to have your set pieces at a PvP level and is crucial if your set is good for PvP. So it's something you're going to have to consider when you are creating your gear. On the other side of the foregrounds, we have, of course, 3 other vendors. One is Lidonia, who does item upgrades. This is not so important as item upgrades will only affect your PvE level. We then have Rogan, who is the elite conquest master. He sells some interesting tablets, but more importantly sells some quite cool cosmetics. These will cost marks of honor, which we'll talk about how to earn just now. And finally we have Mara, who will give you warband items, or war modes items I should say. These items are incredibly helpful because they will essentially give you the ability to affect players in your war mode fights. Earning marks of honors is incredibly easy. You will have them drop from Glorious Contenders strong boxes. So the more matches you play, the more strong boxes you open, the more marks of honor you get. It's not too difficult to get them, so it shouldn't be a problem for you. Aside from that, that is pretty much it. There isn't that much other like items or things within the season. There are 2 different types of mounts that you can obtain, so that is really cool. And there is also, of course, basically some cosmetics for transmogs and things. So we'll talk through all of that right now. So in terms of mounts, there's the Felbat mount, which players can obtain. This mount is obtained by achieving a gladiator rating or an elite rating in 3v3 arena of 2,400. It doesn't show up in the mount guide because you can only obtain it basically through winning 50 games. Whilst if 2,400 rating, it's a very difficult mount to achieve. And then of course there is also the Vicious Electro Eel, which is a mount that players can obtain based on winning rated PvP matches at 1000 rating or above during Season 2. There are other bonuses that players can obtain. So one of those bonuses is an additional catalyst charge. So by achieving a PvP rating of 1600, you can obtain an additional catalyst charge, which is great for obtaining your set. And then there are some cosmetic achievements that you can get from the War Within Season 2, which may not show up here. Basically, these are PvP related achievements. So basically with these you can get yourself some really good cosmetics, alternative set appearances for your class. So in terms of like sets and appearances, you can only obtain these from your Season 2 PvP achievements. So these are just the standard ones, but there is very specific cosmetics that you can get from completing these achievements, which is very good. These achievements are to complete or earn the rank of elite during the War Within Season 2, and the other one is to end War Within Season 2 in the top 0.1% of the solo ladder shuffle, which is obviously very difficult. So yeah, that is it from me. Hopefully this has given you enough of a guide on how PvP works and how everything functions. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and if you have, of course, I would love to hear your comments. If you have any tips and suggestions for players, that'll also be great. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.